Minneapolis. Joining me now, Democratic Congressman Adam Schiff, newly named ranking member of the Intelligence Committee and a member of the Appropriations Committee. Welcome to you, sir. Congratulations on the honor. We're glad you're the head of the Intel Committee now.
Thank you, Alex.
We have dozens of leaders from countries who've marched through the streets of Paris today, sir. The U.S. had no real presence. I was speaking earlier, you may have heard my conversation with Stephen Clemens, who suggested it sends a bad message from a PR perspective. What do you think?
Well, I guess we had our ambassador present there, and of course our president went to the French embassy personally to sign the condolence book. I think the French understand that we are really shoulder to shoulder with them in this terrible hour of need. I can't speak to why we didn't have others there besides our American ambassador. But again, I think the relationship with France is rock solid. I'm a co-chair of our caucus in Congress devoted to the French, and I can tell you this is a deep ally of ours and one that's very well thought of and respected, and I think the feeling is very mutual.
All right. How about any credible threats that you've seen of copycat attacks or other cells activating?
There's always a credible threat in the wake of events like this. We don't have specific intelligence on that. We don't have specific intelligence that says, for example, that a cell in the United States has been activated as a result and there's a known time or location or likely location. But the fact of the matter is, you know, with all of this propaganda out there on the internet now, with both AQAP and ISIS celebrating these killings, encouraging others to attack, we obviously have to be on our guard. I don't think that means we're going to change the threat level here until we have something more specific. But it is, of course, concerning. And when you look at it in the scheme of things with attacks in Canada, Australia, London, now France, it's unfortunately a proliferation of these one-off attacks that really has us on edge.
With all the assets and technology available, is it reasonable to think that a group of people known by intelligence agencies, one of whom who went to prison on terrorism charges, could coordinate, apparently over several years, the series of high-profile attacks without raising a red flag? I know there are challenges that you must certainly discuss in your committee meetings about how far you can go with respecting an individual's rights versus protecting the public. But talk about this. How does it happen?
Well, it's very difficult, and I think the problem that France has is even more magnified because they have so many people who have left the country to join the fight. And back home, you know, I know there's been a lot of criticism. Why did they stop the surveillance of these brothers, given one of them had been convicted in the past of trying to recruit people to join the jihad? And the answer is that when these agents left the surveillance of one of these brothers, or both of these brothers, it's not as if they went on vacation. These agents simply moved to surveil others who were considered a higher risk. Now, in retrospect, it certainly looks like no one could have been a higher risk than those that engaged in these horrible acts, but I think it just points to the problem that France has to confront, and that is they have too many people of interest, too many people of concern, not enough resources. And the reality is, even though I think we do a very good job in the United States, as large a country as we are, as open a society as we are, it's also very difficult for us to keep an eye on everyone who could potentially be a threat.
Sharif Kouachi claimed in an interview before the attack that it was ordered and financed directly by al-Qaeda in Yemen. The leader there, Anwar al-Awlaki, who was killed in 2011. However, the group has not officially taken any credit for the attack. They have supported it, though. Give me the most likely link that you think exists there.
Well, as General Dempsey, I think, affirmed this morning, it certainly appears that at least one, if not both brothers, had traveled to Yemen. They may have received some training. There have been allegations that one of them may have met with al-Awlaki. But I think we have to take with a certain grain of salt what this attacker said. It may be that when he claims credit of AQAP, that this was part of AQAP's target list. And they took it on themselves, and they want to give credit to AQAP. AQAP, I'm sure, would love to have the credit, but this doesn't necessarily mean that there have been ongoing communications over the last several years. It may very well have been that one or both brothers went to Yemen, that they were further radicalized there, that they came back to France, and that something set them off again, and that didn't have to be an explicit instruction. It may have been just a downturn in their lives. It's really hard at this point to know for sure.
I know, Representative Schiff, that you were critical of the aspects of the NSA's metadata program when all those details came to light. It goes without saying that Europe was extremely critical. Do you expect their position to change now?
Well, I don't know that Europe's position will change. I mean, they certainly want our cooperation, and that was true throughout even the height of the Snowden revelations. But I think what we have to try to do, and keeping our eye on the ball here, is we want to maintain the capabilities that will protect the country and will protect our allies. At the same time, we don't want to unnecessarily intrude on people's privacy. And in the context of the metadata program, I think what that means for Americans is we want the capability, but we don't need the government to hold on to all that data about Americans who are not involved with terrorism. There's no reason why we can't go to the telephone companies, for example, in the event of concern about an attack like this or in the aftermath of an attack like this, and say, okay, we need the data on who these people, who these numbers have been in contact with. So I think there are ways that we can get the results we need at the same time maintaining our privacy.
Representative Adam Schiff, it's always a pleasure, sir. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Alex.